Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome back to Native Speakers.
And I'm Johnny. We're your guides to speaking English naturally and confidently.
Today, we're tackling something that even native speakers find tricky sometimes, giving feedback in English.
Oh, yes, this is huge. Whether you're at work, helping a friend, or just sharing your opinion, knowing how to give feedback properly can make or break your relationships.
So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive in.
All right, Sarah, let's start with the basics. Why is giving feedback in English so challenging for learners?
Great question. I think it's because feedback isn't just about the words you use. It's about tone, context, and cultural expectations. In English-speaking cultures, especially in places like the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, we tend to value directness, but we also really value politeness.
Exactly. It's like walking a tightrope. You want to be honest, but you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And that balance looks different depending on whether you're talking to your boss, your colleague, or your best friend.
Right, so let's break this down into different scenarios. Johnny, imagine I'm your colleague and I just gave a presentation. It was, well, let's say it wasn't great. How would you give me feedback?
Okay, so first thing, I'd never just jump straight into the negative stuff. I'd start with something positive, like, Sarah, I really appreciated how much effort you put into that presentation. Your slides looked professional, and I could tell you researched the topic thoroughly.
Ooh, I like that. So you're starting with genuine praise. That's what we call the positive opening.
Exactly. And here's the thing, it has to be genuine. People can smell fake compliments from a mile away. So I wouldn't say great job if nothing was actually great. I'd find something specific that was good.
That's such an important point. Specific feedback is always better than vague feedback. Instead of saying, good work, you might say, I really liked how you explained the statistics in the third section. That was very clear.
Yes. Now, after the positive opening, I'd transition to the constructive part. I might say something like, however, I think there's room for improvement in a couple of areas.
Nice transition word there. However, that signals to the listener that you're about to shift gears.
Right. Other transition phrases you could use are, on the other hand, that said, one thing I noticed, or even, if I could suggest one thing.
Those are all great. So continue with the feedback. What would you say next?
I'd say something like, I think the presentation could have been stronger if you'd included more real-world examples. The theory was solid, but practical applications would help the audience connect with the material better.
Perfect. You just demonstrated something really important. You focused on the work, not the person. You didn't say, you were boring, or you failed to engage us. You talked about what the presentation itself could have included.
That's crucial. It's about making it about the task or the product, not about attacking someone's character or abilities.
And you also offered a specific suggestion for improvement. You didn't just say it was too theoretical. You said including more real-world examples would help. That gives me something concrete I can actually do next time.
Exactly. Actionable feedback is the goal. Now, let me ask you something, Sarah. What if the situation is more serious? Like, what if someone on your team consistently misses deadlines?
Ooh, that's tougher because it's about behavior, not just a one-time presentation. In that case, I'd probably schedule a private conversation. Never give serious feedback in public.
Good point. Public praise, private criticism. That's the golden rule.
So in this private meeting, I might say, hey, Alex, I wanted to talk to you about the project deadlines. I've noticed that over the past 3 projects, the deliverables have come in later than we agreed upon. Can you help me understand what's been happening?
Oh, I love that approach. You're stating the facts, the past 3 projects, so it's not vague. And then you're asking for their perspective instead of just accusing them.
Right, because maybe there's a legitimate reason. Maybe they're overloaded, maybe they don't understand the priorities, or maybe there's something going on in their personal life. By asking, can you help me understand, you're opening a dialogue.
That phrase is gold. Can you help me understand? It's not accusatory. It shows you're willing to listen and it treats the other person with respect.
And then, depending on their answer, you can work together on a solution. You might say, I understand you're juggling multiple projects. How about we set up a weekly check-in so we can catch any issues before they become problems?
That's collaborative problem solving, not just criticism. You're offering support, not just pointing out what's wrong.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about positive feedback, because that's just as important as constructive feedback.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I think a lot of people underestimate the power of positive feedback. When someone does something well, tell them. Be specific about it.
So instead of just saying, good job on the report, you might say,
The marketing report you submitted was excellent. The data visualization made the trends really easy to understand, and your recommendations in the final section were spot on. This is exactly the kind of analysis we need.
perfect. You mentioned what was good, the data visualization and the recommendations, and you explained why it mattered. That reinforces what the person should keep doing.
And here's something interesting. In American culture especially, we're pretty generous with positive feedback. In some other cultures, that might seem over the top, but here it's normal and expected.
That's true. If you're working with international teams, be aware that feedback styles vary by culture. Some cultures are more direct than others. Germans, for instance, tend to be very direct. They'll tell you straight what needs improvement without much sugarcoating.
Whereas in some Asian cultures, feedback might be much more indirect to preserve harmony and avoid causing someone to lose face.
Right, so you have to adapt your style based on who you're talking to and what their cultural expectations are. But for standard American or British English business English, the approach we're teaching today works really well.
Let me give you another scenario. Sarah, pretend I'm your manager and I just turned in a project that's, let's say, 80% good but has some significant issues.
Okay, so I might start with, Johnny, thanks for getting this to me on time. I can see you put a lot of work into sections 2 and 3. The research there is thorough and well presented.
Good start. Specific praise.
However, I have some concerns about section 4. The conclusions don't seem to follow logically from the data you presented. Could we schedule some time to go over this together? I think with some revisions, this could be really strong.
Nice. You pointed out the problem specifically, Section 4 and the logical connection, but you also framed it as something we'll work on together, and you expressed confidence that it can be fixed.
Yes, the language could be really strong is optimistic. It shows you believe in the person's ability to improve.
And you didn't say, this is wrong, or you messed this up. You said, I have some concerns, which is softer but still clear.
Language choice matters so much. Let's talk about some useful phrases for different types of feedback. Johnny, what are some go-to phrases for positive feedback?
Sure, I was really impressed by. You did an excellent job with. I particularly liked how you, this is exactly what we were looking for. You've really improved in.
Those are all great. And for constructive feedback?
One area for improvement might be, have you considered it might be more effective if, I'd suggest, next time you might want to try, one thing to keep in mind is.
Perfect. And notice how many of those use conditional language, might, could, would. That softens the feedback and makes it feel like a suggestion rather than a command.
Exactly. Though I should mention, there are times when you need to be more direct. If it's a safety issue, a legal concern, or something really serious, being too soft can be confusing.
Absolutely. If someone's doing something dangerous or unethical, you'd say, you need to stop doing X immediately, or this is not acceptable. Clarity is more important than politeness in those situations.
Right, but for most everyday feedback situations, the softer, more collaborative approach works best.
Now, let's talk about the sandwich method, because people have strong opinions about this.
Oh yes, the sandwich method is when you give positive feedback, then constructive feedback, then end with more positive feedback. So it's positive, negative, positive, like a sandwich.
Some people love this method, some people hate it. What's your take, Johnny?
I think it can work, but it depends on how you do it. If the final positive comment is just thrown in there and feels fake, like, "Oh, and by the way, I like your shoes," then it's obvious you're just trying to end on a high note and it feels manipulative.
Agreed. But if you genuinely have multiple positive things to say and one area for improvement, then structuring it that way makes sense. The key is authenticity.
Right, and also, if you only ever give feedback when something's wrong, people start to dread conversations with you. Mix in plenty of purely positive feedback when things are going well.
Such an important point. Feedback shouldn't only be about problems. Catch people doing things right and tell them.
All right, let's role play another scenario. Sarah, you're my friend, and you asked me to review your resume. I noticed several typos and some formatting issues. How do I give you that feedback?
Okay, go for it.
Hey Sarah, thanks for letting me look at your resume. I think you've done a good job highlighting your achievements, especially in the experience section. Your job descriptions are clear and show real impact.
Positive opening.
I did notice a few things that might need tweaking. There are a couple of typos. Management in the second job should be management, and receive should be receive. Also, the formatting isn't quite consistent. Some bullet points have periods at the end and others don't.
Okay, you're being specific about what needs fixing.
If you want, I can send you a version with my suggested edits marked, or we could go through it together. These are easy fixes, and once you clean them up, I think this resume will really stand out.
Perfect. You offered help, you emphasized that the fixes are easy, and you ended with encouragement. That's how you give feedback to a friend. Honest, but supportive.
And notice I didn't say, "Wow, you made so many mistakes," or "Didn't you proofread this?" That would be rude and unhelpful.
Exactly. Tone matters just as much as words. Even if you use all the right phrases, if your tone is condescending or irritated, the message won't land well.
So true. And that brings up another point. If you're giving feedback when you're angry or frustrated, wait, take a breath, calm down, and then have the conversation.
Yes, feedback given in anger often includes words you'll regret later. It's better to say, "I need some time to think about this. Can we talk tomorrow?" than to say something harsh in the moment.
Great advice. Now what about receiving feedback? Because that's a skill too.
Oh, absolutely. When someone gives you feedback, even if you disagree with it, the best response is usually, "Thank you for sharing that. I'll think about what you've said."
Right. You don't have to agree on the spot, but acknowledging that you heard them is important.
And avoid getting defensive. If your first reaction is, "But I did that because," or "You don't understand," that shuts down the conversation.
Instead, you might say, "I appreciate your perspective. Can you give me an example of what you mean?" That shows you're taking it seriously and want to understand better.
Exactly. And if you need time to process, that's okay. You can say, "I'd like to think about this, and maybe we can talk again after I've had time to reflect."
Good point. Sometimes feedback can be surprising or even hurtful, and you need time to get past the emotional reaction before you can think about it objectively.
Let's talk about some common mistakes people make when giving feedback in English.
Okay, number one, being too vague. Saying, "You need to be more professional" doesn't help anyone. What does more professional mean? Give examples.
Number 2, making it personal. "You're lazy" or "you're careless" attacks the person's character. Instead, focus on specific behaviors or outcomes.
Number 3, giving feedback about something the person can't change. Don't criticize someone's accent or their height or anything like that. Feedback should be about things within their control.
Number 4, waiting too long. If something bothered you 3 months ago and you bring it up now, that's not helpful. Address issues soon after they happen while they're still relevant.
Number 5, giving feedback without permission in casual situations. If your friend didn't ask for your opinion on their haircut, maybe don't volunteer it.
Ha, yes. There's a difference between invited feedback and unsolicited criticism.
Though in professional settings, feedback is usually expected and part of the culture, so you don't need explicit permission to give appropriate work-related feedback to someone you manage or work closely with.
Right, but even then, phrasing it as, "Can I share some thoughts on the presentation?" is more respectful than just launching into criticism.
Agreed. Now let's talk about feedback in written form, like emails or performance reviews.
Oh, this is tricky because you lose tone of voice and body language. Your words have to do all the work.
Exactly. So in written feedback, I'd be even more careful about language choice. Instead of "this is wrong," I might write, "I have a different perspective on this," or "I'd like to suggest an alternative approach."
And use plenty of positive language even when addressing issues. "I appreciate your quick response to this. I think we can make it even stronger by..."
Also, in written feedback, structure really helps. Use bullet points or numbered lists to make things clear, like, "What worked well?" "Your opening statement was engaging." "Your data was well organized." "Areas to develop." "Consider adding more visual aids." "The conclusion could be more concise."
That's really clear. The person can see at a glance what was good and what needs work.
And in performance reviews, always document specific examples. Don't just say, "good team player." Say, "collaborated effectively with the marketing team on the Q3 campaign, stepping in to help with social media posts when their specialist was out sick."
Specificity again. It's so important. It makes the feedback credible and useful.
All right, Sarah, let's do one more role play. I'm going to give you some feedback, but I'm going to do it badly, and then you show me how it should be done.
Okay, hit me with your worst.
Sarah, that lesson you taught yesterday was terrible. You talked way too fast, and nobody could follow you. You need to slow down and be clearer. Try harder next time.
Ouch. Okay, let me show you how that feedback could be improved. Sarah, I attended your lesson yesterday and I wanted to share some observations. You clearly know your material really well. Your explanations were thorough and accurate.
Good start. You're acknowledging what was good.
One thing I noticed is that the pace was quite quick, especially in the middle section. I wondered if some participants might have struggled to keep up. What do you think about including more pauses for questions, or maybe slowing down during the more complex explanations?
Much better. You made it about the observation, not about me being terrible. You asked for my perspective, and you offered specific suggestions.
I think with a few small adjustments to pacing, your already strong teaching could be even more effective for learners at different levels.
Perfect ending, optimistic and encouraging.
See the difference? The first version was harsh, vague, and demotivating. The second version was specific, collaborative, and helpful.
And that's really what feedback should be, helpful. The goal isn't to make someone feel bad. The goal is to help them improve.
Absolutely. Good feedback is a gift. It shows you care enough about the person to help them get better.
And when you create a culture where feedback is normal and expected, where people regularly share both positive and constructive feedback, everyone improves faster.
So true. In the best teams I've worked on, feedback flowed in all directions. Managers to employees, employees to managers, peer to peer. It wasn't scary, it was just how we helped each other succeed.
That's the goal. To get comfortable with feedback so it becomes a natural part of communication rather than this scary, awkward thing.
Let me share one more tip. When you're learning to give feedback in English, practice. Start with small, low-stakes situations. Tell your colleague you liked their idea in the meeting. Suggest a small improvement to a friend's project.
Yes, you don't have to start with a big, serious performance review. Build your confidence with smaller feedback conversations first.
And pay attention to how native speakers give feedback. Listen to how your boss freezes things or how your friends talk to each other. You'll start to notice patterns in the language.
That's great advice. And remember, even native speakers sometimes struggle with feedback. If you mess up, apologize and try again. We're all learning.
All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. Johnny, what's the most important thing to remember about giving feedback in English?
I'd say it's this: be specific, be kind, and focus on improvement rather than just criticism. Good feedback should leave the person feeling motivated to do better, not crushed.
Perfect. And remember to balance positive and constructive feedback. Catch people doing things right, not just when things go wrong.
Use the language tools we talked about today. Those softening phrases, those transition words, those specific examples. They'll make your feedback clearer and more effective.
And always consider your audience. Adapt your style based on the relationship, the culture, and the situation.
Most importantly, practice. Like any skill, giving good feedback gets easier the more you do it.
If you found this lesson helpful, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss our future videos.
We cover all aspects of English communication here on Native Speakers, from grammar and vocabulary to cultural nuances and professional skills.
Leave us a comment telling us what topic you'd like us to cover next. We love hearing from you.
And remember, learning English is a journey, and every conversation, every piece of feedback you give or receive is practice.
Thanks so much for watching, everyone.
See you in the next lesson.
Bye.